My name is Christopher Trinacty. I'm a professor in the classics department. I work primarily on Latin literature, and I'm especially fascinated by Seneca the Younger. And I'm going to talk to you about Seneca here for a couple minutes. Seneca was a philosopher, a Stoic philosopher, as well as a tragedian. He wrote a number of tragedies that were very famous, and especially the Elizabethan period. So when Shakespeare in Hamlet says Seneca cannot be too heavy nor Plautus too light, he's talking about the heavy nature of Senecan tragedy, which really offered a blueprint for a number of Elizabethan and Jacobean tragedians. Seneca rubbed elbows with some of the most famous and nefarious characters of the first century CE. Caligula wanted him dead. Seneca was a famous orator, and Caligula fancied himself a famous orator. And so, because Seneca was better than Caligula was, Caligula wanted Seneca dead. The next emperor, Claudius, exiles Seneca. He comes back from exile to tutor Nero, a young Nero, and then when Nero assumes power in 54 CE, Seneca is his trusted advisor and really steers the government for the first 5 years or so. Those are considered to be 5 pretty good years, but then things quickly go south, and Seneca soon retires from Nero's court. Seneca writes from his retirement a series of moral letters. Here's an example of one of them, Seneca giving a letter to the messenger to take over to his friend Lucilius, who lives off in Sicily. These moral epistles, there's 124 of them, offer almost self-help for classicists in some ways. They talk about how to live a virtuous and ethical life, one guided by ratio, by reason, which for Seneca is the most important, say, quality of a human, something that sets us apart from the animals. He also writes in his retirement a work called The Natural Questions, which is an account of Stoic physics on all about the natural world, things like earthquakes or comets. Seneca became very famous for his philosophy and for his ethics, and even Christians, early Christians thought, oh my gosh, these ethics of this guy Seneca are very similar to those of Paul, and so they fabricated a correspondence between Seneca and Paul. So Seneca was one of the writers that was very influential then for the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. So here you see another manuscript showing Seneca in the middle with Plato and Aristotle on either side of him, and Seneca kind of elbowing the two out of the way and saying, I'm the best in some ways. Seneca's life was eventually and tragically maybe brought to an end by Nero, who ordered Seneca's suicide. Here you see a painting by Manuel Dominguez Sanchez showing the death of Seneca. Seneca's death is described for us in Tacitus's Annales. And there, Seneca is said to have talked to those around him and say, what I'm leaving you is an imago vitae suae, an image of my life, meaning in some ways the philosophical and literary works that he leaves behind, which try to teach all of us how to live a better and more virtuous life. That being said, Seneca himself is oftentimes looked at as a hypocrite because he was incredibly wealthy, yet he preached poverty. He had access to great power with Nero, yet the state nosedived pretty quickly. So there's a lot of contradictions in Seneca's life, and I think those are worth exploring and a lot of fun to spend time studying. His writing is always challenging, oftentimes fantastic, and sometimes frustrating, but well worth reading. So I hope you can all go out and pick up a copy of Seneca's letters or his Natural Questions and spend some time with Seneca. I think he does offer us some solace, maybe a little bit of therapy in these tough times. So thanks. I hope you enjoyed learning a little something about Seneca.